feline leukemia to stop the killing of innocent cats. Imagine that your cat was diagnosed with feline leukemia. The veterinarian has informed you that the cat should be euthanized. You have no idea what leukemia is or why your cat should be put to sleep. So you take your cat for more invasive testing to find out that the cat is no longer feline positive for leukemia. So you have a lot of questions running through your head now. Why did they tell me to euthanize my cat when now my cat doesn't even have the virus anymore? That's a question that a lot of researchers are also contemplating on. If this was a human that had been diagnosed with HIV, there would be no question. There would not be, let's put the person down, because of course that would be murder. Well, it's the same thing with feline leukemia. It's just the feline version of HIV. The research that's going on for feline leukemia coincides with the research that's going on with HIV. So if there's a cure for feline leukemia, they believe that there could be a cure for human HIV because they're so closely resembled. The question I have for myself is, why should felines be put to sleep based on one test? You can call around to different veterinarians and they're all going to tell you the same thing. That if a cat tests positive on an ELISA test, which is the first test that they do, that cat will develop feline leukemia and will die in 6 months to 2 years. If you search around on the internet, you'll find contradicting stories. People saying, well, my cat tested positive, but a few months later, he was acting fine, and I took him and got him tested, and he tested negative. So there's a lot of controversy when it comes to the first test and putting the cat to sleep. My personal cat was diagnosed with this disease, Gary. Our veterinarian, as I stated earlier, did what most veterinarians do. They informed us that we needed to euthanize our cat. Well, of course, we immediately went and picked him up and were like, no. We didn't know what feline leukemia was, so we went home and we researched and we decided to take our cat to Auburn University, which is one of the top veterinarian schools in the country. At Auburn, they ran all kinds of tests. He did test positive for feline leukemia, but as far as everything else goes, his organs, everything was perfectly fine. His blood count, his white count, everything was perfectly fine. Not only was his levels fine, but the actual quality of his blood cells was really good, which indicates that there's not a virus killing him, although there might be a virus in his system. As I stated earlier, feline leukemia is much like HIV. It's a retrovirus that attacks the immune system. So you don't actually die from feline leukemia, but they may die from a common cold, an eye infection, just as someone would with HIV. Why are veterinarians recommending euthanizing cats if there's such contradictory evidence? This is because they go by their case studies. Most veterinarians have been around for a while, and if they're younger veterinarians, they go by what the person that they were a resident with did. They go by their case studies and what they said. So if they're euthanizing felines based on the first initial test, then of course they don't have any cases where they say, hey, we didn't euthanize this cat and he lived 5 years. Or we didn't euthanize this cat and 12 weeks later he tested negative. So since they're euthanizing all these cats based on the initial test, there's no case study for them to look at. In the feline leukemia world, which is mainly based on the internet, where pet owners have gotten together and shared their stories and different cures that you're trying to work on, which there is no cure, but there are treatments, T-cell treatments, just like with HIV. With all of this information out there, and like Cornell University will tell you that 85% of cats that even get the virus after 4 months of age will shed the virus from their system by themselves. My problem is that these cats aren't given the chance if the veterinarians are euthanizing them as soon as they get a positive test. So what needs to happen is that there needs to be information out there for these veterinarians. There needs to be more research. they need to know that it's no longer okay just to kill a cat based on a positive test, because most animals are family members to people, and they don't want to put them down if they don't have to. And it would be devastating to put down an animal only to find out months later on a search engine or through a different veterinarian that your cat may not have even had the virus, or maybe your cat was just a carrier. So all I'm saying is that there needs to be a law or a rule of thumb for veterinarians that we do not need to put down cats based on these test results, that we need to give them a chance and do more research and at least do a little more invasive testing. Thank you.